This is Greg Kelly. Donate now to Toys for Tots, which works year-round. Go to toysfortots.org. Toys for Tots supports children in need throughout the year with programs like the Toys for Tots Literacy Program. Established in 2008, it has provided over 63 million books to disadvantaged children. The Toys for Tots Literacy Program is committed to providing disadvantaged children with direct access to books and educational resources that enhance their ability to read and communicate effectively. Go to toysfortots.org.
He's at war with woke.
Joe Concha
thinks liberals are a joke.
Joe Concha.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition, sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
It's Friday night, everybody, and I'm sure you were glued to the GLAAD Awards, GLAAD, last night. Of course you weren't. Who watches these things anymore because of who they give awards to? And in this case, Jennifer Welsh. For those of you who are on social media, you know who this cretin is. I don't use that word for any human on the planet, but for Jen, I'm going to make an exception here because she is profoundly horrible in every way, shape, or form. And I'm trying to figure out whether it's an act or she really believes what she says. And I'm coming down on she really believes what she says. This is your ultimate wine mom who has had more work, we'll put it that way, than Joan Rivers can ever dream of. And forget like the aesthetics here for a second, because that would be distracting from the main point. The things she says on the air are just so profoundly subhuman, and it gets her attention and gets her awards at places like this, I suppose. But here she is last night. This is her award speech, and you would not know the difference between Jennifer Welsh and, say, Robert De Niro. This is cut number 5. Go.
And I want to say something with my full chest. Never obey in advance. ICE, Donald Trump, free Palestine, and save trans kids.
Now, I don't know what's worse. Welsh saying, F Trump, free Palestine, and free trans kids. She kind of looks like one. But the people hooting and hollering to this, like, woo, yeah. Oh, I get it's probably in Los Angeles or somewhere near there, but still. Jennifer Welsh has said some things in the past, and this is where I get to this point. All right, she makes one stupid speech. You never heard of her before. All right, that's one thing. This is a daily thing, and she actually has on everybody from, Abby Phillip from CNN and Caitlin Collins from CNN and all these people, Katie Couric, all these people that pretend to be journalists, and they actually give this person an audience. Here's what she had to say about Erika Kirk, who, between Candace Owens and this person, as far as attacking Erika Kirk, these are obviously people that don't have children, or children disown them. I don't know what Jennifer Welsh's situation is. She never talks about her kids, so I'm assuming that this is your typical wine mom without actually being a mom. And then what Candace Owens has been saying about Erika Kirk is just disqualifying in terms of ever. Let's put it this way. I'm writing a book right now. I've written 3 books already. Last one, The Greatest Comeback Ever Inside Trump's Big Beautiful Campaign. I'm burdened by what has been. A New York Times bestseller. Great. Awesome. The president endorsed it on several occasions. I got to sit down with the president, went to Mar-a-Lago, all those fun things. And that was a great book to write. This one I'm writing now is called The 99 Most Toxic Americans That We Could Really, 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 Really Do Without. All those reallys will be on the cover. And Candace Owens absolutely made the list. And Jennifer Welsh absolutely made the list because of what they've been saying about Erika Kirk, who, again, you see that clip from Charlie from last summer. And he was guest hosting Fox and Friends Weekend. And the first thing that happens once 10 o'clock comes, that's when the show ends. It's a 4-hour show. His 2 kids, who I think are 2 and 3 years old, run to their dad and he gives them a hug. And he just looks as happy as you ever can be, because once you have kids that age and you're the hero, and you're a hero for a long time. My kids are still 12 and 10. I'm pretty sure I'm still the hero. It's wavering. It's teetering a little bit, but just to see that look in his face and know that these poor kids will never see their dad again on this earth. And Erika Kirk having to deal with all of this and to attack a woman that has to go through this. The way she has conducted herself with such bravery, such courage, such conviction, in saying that she actually forgives, for instance, the assassin. I can never get there. She did. And a Jennifer Welsh is actually mocking her. And even after he was executed at Utah Valley University, September 10th of last year, here you have Jennifer Welsh still saying this about Erika and Charlie. And this person, again, is subhuman. Cut number 24. Go.
It's wild. This woman should be kicked to the curb. She is an absolute grifter, just like Donald Trump and just like her unrepentant, racist, homophobic husband was.
Again, this person got an award last night for crap like that. And I'm just going to leave it there. That the fact that we glorify that the more provocative you are, whether you're Jasmine Crockett or AOC or Don Lemon or all these people, that actually Don Lemon got like a Walter Cronkite Truth Award not too long ago. So I guess what I'm trying to say here, the main premise is that these awards are beyond worthless. And thankfully, no one watches this stuff. But I guess we're talking about it here, so maybe they accomplished their goal. Don't know. Anyway, as far as Kristi Noem and the firing of Noem, when you look at the weakest link in the Trump administration, it's probably Kristi Noem, or was, I should say. Because while you could look at her track record and say, well, look at the border, Conch. Look at the fact that we have almost zero crossings at this point, when 12 to 15 million people crossed under Biden. If you're the DHS secretary, you deserve credit for that. I just wonder if it's how do I put this? If I had to use a sports analogy, do I go Phil Jackson here? Yeah, I'm going Phil Jackson. All right. For those of you who follow the NBA, or you don't even have to follow it closely. Phil Jackson was the coach of the Chicago Bulls, and he had Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, and they won 6 championships with Jackson as the coach. And you wonder, if Phil Jackson isn't the coach, does Michael Jordan still win those championships? I come down on, yeah. I mean, did Michael really need all that much coaching? Now, you got to bring all these players together, these egos. I get it completely. And they didn't win until Phil Jackson got there. And then he goes to the Lakers, and he inherits, just as the top 2 players, Shaq, Kobe Bryant, playing together in their prime. And he wins 4 more championships there. So Phil Jackson, former Knick, gets to 10 championships. And you say, again, would they have won without Phil Jackson? Or is it the fact that it was Shaq and Kobe and Scottie and Michael? Yeah. All right. So that's why I relate this to Kristi Noem, because, again, does the border still have 0 crossings, or at least 0 illegals being released into the country under any other DHS secretary? Yeah, probably. Yeah, because Trump is the president. Trump is the one that ultimately is running the show. It was Trump's rhetoric and Trump's actions that made it quite easy for a Kristi Noem to look good in this situation. Now, she apparently had plenty of, not apparently, why am I saying apparently? She did. She said some things that were profoundly false, and particularly with Alex Preddy. Now, look, again, I'll explain my position on Alex Preddy. Who's Alex Preddy? He's the guy in Minneapolis, fully armed, approached ICE agents on multiple occasions while packing. All right. Semi-automatic on his person. And during ICE operations, confronting ICE agents, he was begging for something like this to happen. And you can say, oh, Joe, so you believe that if you have the right to carry, that person should just be shot in cold blood? No, of course not. But if you confront ICE enough, and then there is a physical confrontation and somebody yells gun, and there's a gun on the person, there's a good chance that person will be shot. So I'm not going to defend his actions in any way, shape, or form. All that said, when Preddy was shot, Noem got in front of the cameras a little too quickly, and before having all the facts, said that Preddy was brandishing a gun before ICE agents. In other words, basically pointing it at them. So they had to respond. So you hear this from the DHS secretary, and I was on live that night. You take her at her word because she is the head of Department of Homeland Security. Turns out that was not right. That was not correct. But it gets worse with Noem, as far as what else she had done while she was DHS secretary, excuse me. Cut number 23 here, Elias. This isn't a Democratic senator. This is Senator John Kennedy, Republican Louisiana, who definitely had his reservations about Noem. And here he explains exactly why she got ousted just yesterday, Thursday, by President Trump, the first major cabinet member to be fired by the guy who used to fire people an awful lot. This is cut number 23. Go.
Later that day, I got a call from President Trump. He was mad as a mama wasp.
That's Trump.
He said, Kennedy, I hope you understand that I had nothing to do with this. And I said, well, I do believe you, Mr. President. He was not happy. It was clear to me after that conversation that the secretary's time at the department was limited. That to be blunt, she was dead as fried chicken.
That is fried chicken. And what Kennedy is referring to is that Noem went ahead and purchased $225,000 of ads with her starring in it, and then said that Trump approved it, and Trump didn't approve it. And that's why Trump said I had nothing to do with this. So when you start lying about your boss, especially when it's President Trump, well, that's not going to go well for you. And that's why she's out now. Markwayne Mullin is in. He's a Republican Oklahoma senator. And this guy's a former MMA fighter. Yeah, that's the kind of guy I want running DHS, certainly. And he's been great in interviews. And Trump watches a lot of cable news. He does a lot of things. He works hard, but you can multitask. I remember when I was on the Trump plane during the campaign, he's having all these meetings and talking to all these different people, but there was multiple TVs that were on that he could always glance up and pay attention to. So he's always obviously paying attention to the messaging that's going out to the public, whether it is as a candidate or whether it is as president. So because the guy knows media probably better than anybody. And Markwayne Mullin, when he's done interviews, not just on Fox, CNN, basically anywhere, he has really stood out as somebody who probably could be very, very good, not only doing the job, but the messaging, which Noem obviously had issues with. This is cut number 10 of Markwayne Mullin. Actually, this is during a Senate hearing, and the person that he is questioning had called him out on social media, basically challenging him to a fight. Mullin was not going to let that go. I have a feeling he would have won this if it actually moved forward, if Bernie Sanders, of all people, didn't step in. But this is great stuff. Cut number 10, go.
Quit the tough guy act in these Senate hearings. You know where to find me. Any place, anytime, cowboy. Sir, this is a time, this is a place. If you want to run your mouth, we can be two consenting adults. We can finish it here.
Okay, that's fine. Perfect.
You want to do it now?
I'd love to do it right now.
Well, stand your butt up then.
You stand your butt up.
Hold on. Oh, stop it.
Is that your solution?
No, sit down. Sit down. Okay. You're a United States Senator.
Go on, United States Senator. Sit down. Oh, that's great. I love the music, too, that I did not add in. It was just part of the clip that we got up on social media. But finally, was it the right move by Trump to fire Kristi Noem? There is a CNN poll saying that, yeah, it absolutely was. Cut number 9, go.
The American people wanted her fired. They wanted her removed. She was a political nightmare for the President of the United States. I mean, just take a look at this. Wanted Noem removed as DHS secretary. Overall, last month, Quinnipiac University found the majority of Americans, 58%, wanted her to be adios amigos, goodbye, see you later. Among independents, you can see it right here, 62% of independents, we're talking more than 3 in 5 independents, wanted her kicked to the curb. So Donald Trump here making the politically popular move because Americans were simply put sick of Kristi Noem.
And there you go. So it took, let's see, about 12, 13 months before any cabinet member was fired by Trump. You look back on 2017, and that was a bloodbath in terms of all the cabinet members that did not survive the first couple of months, quite frankly, whether you're talking about the chief of staff and Reince Priebus. Remember who the Secretary of State was? This is a great trivia question, because I bet 58% of you out there are kind of thinking about this right now. Who was the Secretary of State when Trump took office in 2017? That's right. Rex Tillerson, the oil guy who had no experience in this regard. And that showed. I get what Trump was trying to do. get a businessman in a Secretary of State and let's get some deals done with these other countries and try to get the politics out of it. I get the point, but Tillerson wasn't the right guy for the job. The point is tons of turnover in the first year of Trump's first term. As far as cabinet members, the first to go, Kristi Noem, and it took until March of the following year after he took office for a second term for that to happen. But in this case, most people would agree, especially in the MAGA court, this was the right thing to do at the right time. And Markwayne Mullin is the right guy to succeed Kristi Noem. Anyway, this is Joe Concha. This is Concha at Night. Back with so much more in just a moment.
Where liberalism is a no-go. The Joe Concha Show, weekday edition. Sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation.
The Tunnel to Towers Foundation honors America's heroes. Heroes like U.S. Army Warrant Officer 1 Stuart Wayman. After joining the Army, Stuart graduated from Army Aviation School and had a distinguished career until a midair collision during a training exercise took Stuart's life. He leaves behind his wife, Kira, and their 3 sons. Tunnel to Towers paid the mortgage on the Stuart's family's home. Help more families like Stuart's. Donate $11 a month and amplify your impact by donating your car or land. Go to T2T.org.
This is the Worldwide News Network Extra.
The Justice Department is suing UCLA over allegations of anti-Semitism. The Trump administration accuses the campus of turning a blind eye to anti-Semitic acts and ignoring cries for help from Jewish and Israeli employees. This comes months after the administration launched an investigation into anti-Semitism on UCLA's campus. As part of that probe, the White House put the brakes on research funding until the school paid out $1 billion settlement. For the Worldwide News Network, I'm Liz Radvali.
If you're starting this new year wanting more control of your health instead of leaving it to a broken system, then the pharmacy for you is All Family Pharmacy. You see, they help people get access to essential medications, including some that the big chain pharmacies make it hard to get or refuse to even carry. That's why so many families rely on them. When everyone around you is getting sick and you want to prepare, you need All Family Pharmacy. You're tired of dealing with insurance and want affordable medications, you need All Family Pharmacy. And when your doctors refuse to prescribe ivermectin and treat you like you're out of line for asking intelligent questions, you need All Family Pharmacy. See, the process is quite simple. You order online, a licensed doctor reviews it, and your medications shipped to your door. They carry antibiotics, Tamiflu, ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, mebendazole, and all of your everyday necessary medications and more. So if you haven't already, switch to a pharmacy that you can rely on. You can do so by going to allfamilypharmacy.com/stone, and please use STONE10 as your code to save 10% on your next purchase.
Wounded Warrior Project has been there for me since that first day in the hospital. They got me out of the house. They got me connected with other veterans, and they helped me face my PTSD. They support me and my family at every turn. And now I'm helping other warriors realize that they're not alone.
Through our hands-on programs, supportive community, and ongoing advocacy, we help post-9/11 veterans realize what's possible. Learn more at woundedwarriorproject.org/possible.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
We are the nation's largest integrated healthcare system, providing life-changing care to over 9 million veterans.
Our hands are busy, competent, skilled, healing, helping, and friendly. A place where diverse teams come together hand in hand to provide full patient-centered care. Working in state-of-the-art facilities with influential leaders in healthcare, all with a single goal in mind: to help veterans heal, recover, and get their lives back in a place where everyone plays a part and where your efforts are truly appreciated. A place so innovative and forward-thinking that we're rebuilding hands and where even robots lend a hand.
Join hands with us. Learn more at vacareers.va.gov.
Are you prepared for an emergency or disaster? Because it's not a matter of if, but when. Don't find yourself saying,
when the storm rolls in, my time to find a pet-friendly evacuation center will have run out.
The scorching heat wave will leave me powerless to cool my insulin.
I'll face a hurricane without meds. Now that's a tough pill to swallow.
Let's prepare so we all have a better story to tell. Get started at ready.gov/older adults. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Hey, Dad, how do airplanes fly? What's in this box? Is this tree good for climbing? How are babies made? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Talking to them about gun safety in your home is a good first step, but you can do more. Always keep your guns locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition, sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
Welcome back, everybody. So, Conan O'Brien, I've always liked. He was a great writer for The Simpsons in the first couple of seasons, which I guess The Simpsons are still on. I haven't watched it probably in 25 years, but back in the early mid-90s, it was the best written show on television, save for Seinfeld. And Conan here gets it as far as anti-Trump comedians talking about Trump all the time to the point where they're not funny anymore because they're predictable. Conan is going to be the host of the Oscars this Sunday on ABC, and I may watch because I think I'm going to get a guy who actually values comedy over the Colberts and Kimmels of the world who think that they exist on this planet to be liberal democratic activists. Anyway, here is Conan talking about, well, what makes comedy comedy in cut number 6? Go.
I think some comics go the route of, I'm going to just say F Trump all the time, or that's their comedy. And I think, well, now a little bit you're being co-opted because you're so angry. You've been lulled. It's like a siren leading you into the rocks. You've been lulled into just saying F Trump, F Trump, F Trump, screw this guy. And I think you've now put down your best weapon, which is being funny, and you've exchanged it for anger. And that person or any person like that would say, well, things are too serious now. I don't need to be funny. And I think, well, if you're a comedian, you always need to be funny. You just have to find a way.
I love that. That's great. And I hope we get that on Sunday night because too often a lot of you out there will not tune in to the Oscars, especially when the last couple of years, it feels like every time it's some anti-Trump zealot that your predisposition not to tune in because you don't want to be lectured to and you certainly don't want to be insulted. Anyway, this is Joe Concha. This is Concha at Night. Back with so much more in 2 and 2. 2 and 2.
Where liberalism is a no-go. The Joe Concha Show, weekday edition, sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. It's the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition.
Joe Concha.
Sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
All right. So usually at the top of this is called a block. So we came out of the commercial and now we are in what's called the C block, or the third segment of this particular show. Blocks exist in television. They exist in radio, basically podcasts, anywhere you want to talk about. So here I should go with something maybe a little more weighty, maybe a little more serious like Iran. But you know what, though? It's a Friday night and it's actually, I did not know this. Daylight savings time is this weekend. In other words, we spring forward in winter, which is real. I don't remember being this early. I don't know what the science is behind it, the algorithm, whatever you want to call it, who decides this stuff. But I always remember in high school it being like the first Saturday night, Sunday in April. And I don't know if the rules changed. I guess I should look that up before I go on the air. But It's this weekend. It's going to be getting dark at 7:30 while there's still some snow on the ground, which is really bizarre stuff. But to coincide with it, fortunately here in the New York area, anyway, I get that we're on across the country, but here, and I would imagine this is a weather pattern that's good for a lot of the country, warm air. It's going to be 76 degrees here next week. We had a blizzard not too long ago. We had freezing rain just last night. And now it's like, okay, I guess it's spring and it's going to be getting dark at 7:30, 8 o'clock. All right. Yay. We survived. Anyway, so I'm going to go with the lighter stuff here, at least to start here for what we call the C block. And I think this is awesome. Shohei Ohtani, which I don't think we appreciate what we're seeing here in baseball. A guy who can throw a ball 96 miles an hour, can be an effective starting pitcher, and then turn around and just be the most lethal offensive player in the league, or at least in the National League anyway. He plays for Japan. So the World Baseball Classic, I think, is awesome because you see how many different players play for other countries. So it's like the Olympics in the sense where the Americans, are they the favorites? I don't know. I think Japan might be. I think any team with Ohtani and loads of other talent there, they beat the Americans in the last World Baseball Classic. So who says they can't do it again? Now, the Americans, of course, have the Aaron Judges of the world playing for them. So it's going to be awesome. I'm already into this. And this is the call today where the Japanese beat, I think it was Taipei, I want to say. Excuse me if I got the opponent wrong. Doesn't really matter. 13-0. But here's Ohtani in the second inning launching a grand slam. And all I got to say is this call from the Japanese announcer is better than anything we hear from the Yankees and Michael Kay. That I do know. Cut number 19. Go.
Batting count. 2 balls, 1 strike.
I love this guy. Can we hire that guy? Yes Network, are you listening? I mean, when we had Hideki Matsui, that would have been a great guy to have on the call. You just go to the Japanese announcer every time Matsui is up. I don't care if I don't understand what he's saying. I heard Grand Slam in there somewhere. That's an American term, which I guess can't be translated into Japanese, but it's genuine. It's authentic. Now let's play Michael Kay, shall we? And look, I'm sorry. I grew up with Phil Rizzuto and Frank Messer and Bill White. And then obviously on the national level, Joe Buck, Jack Buck's dad, who was so profoundly awesome. Just listen to his call of Kirk Gibson's home run sometime in 1988 when the Dodgers, who had no business even winning a game against the A's, ended up winning that series in 5. And that was Gibson when he, basically didn't have, forget like limping on one leg. He didn't have 2 legs. There was nothing to push off. It was all arms. And against Dennis Eckersley, who hadn't given up a home run in forever, Gibson gets the home run. And it was just the perfect call. Not just Joe Buck, but Vin Scully was calling it for NBC on TV. So imagine that option between Buck and Scully. So I grew up with those guys. I think Al Michaels was very underrated as a baseball announcer as well. So you kind of get spoiled. And then Kay is just so contrived. There's just every call is the same enough already. It's a deep looking up, Thea, or it's just too homerish. Like it's April and it's a game against, the Tigers and the Yankees win and Judge hits 2 home runs. And you would think it's Game 7 of the World Series. There's no inflection. There's no meeting the moment kind of thing where, some calls deserve the kind of enthusiasm or passion behind it. And some are, I'm sorry, it's April against the Tigers. It's 44 degrees and you're playing in Detroit and the game's at 11 o'clock and I don't care. All right. I care, but I don't care to the point where you make it sound like I should care. I think I'm making sense here. Anyway, here's Michael Kay calling a grand slam. Now, remember, I played you Ohtani hitting a grand slam in the World Baseball Classic. Here's Kay calling one for Brandon Nimmo with the New York Mets. And boy, this thing is as limp as, well, it needs some Viagra. We'll put it that way. Cut number 20. Go.
High fly ball, right field and deep. Going back, Judge on the track at the wall. Grand slam for Nimmo.
Wow. Great. You can feel the passion, can't you? Oh, good Lord. Anyway, that's my Michael K. Riff, and I guess he'll be with us forever. So that's that. There is kind of a Michael K. Jinx going on here, though. Outside of the steroid-fueled 2009 Yankees team, no championships since K became the play-by-play announcer full-time for Yes. You got to go back. Let's see. 2000, I want to say 5, he became the Yes announcer. And it's been 21 years and 1 championship for the Yankees. This is the longest drought that I could ever remember. I mean, I guess you go back to 2009, we're talking now 16th, we're on our 17th year of not winning a championship. Even in the dark days of the late 60s and into the mid 70s, you didn't have that kind of stretch, but that's the Yankees now at this point. And look, they make the playoffs every year and that's nice, but this team is always built to win championships and they've been stuck on 27 for quite some time. Anyway, let's get away from baseball for a second and let's go to Joe Biden, who is as equally as entertaining as that Japanese announcer we just played. Here is Biden. Yes, he's back. He was at Jesse Jackson's funeral and they let him speak. And I don't know what his point was here exactly, but he's going on about how Africa's population is really on the upswing. I guess because there's black people there and therefore, yay, former home team of my great-great-grandparents. I don't know what the point was here, but this is Joe Biden pandering as usual in cut number 21. Go.
By the way, the continent of Africa is going to be the largest continent in the world in terms of population by the year 2050. The largest in the entire world.
Okay.
Watch, man.
Applause.
Watch.
Watch, man. Watch. Okay, great. What does that have to do with Jesse Jackson's funeral exactly? Outside of he's a black guy, and I guess Africa is a predominantly black continent in terms of population. I don't know where he was going with that remotely, but Biden has said things like that in the past, right? And he called Barack Obama once clean and articulate, which if any Republican said that, that's the end of your political career. Said you had to have an Indian accent in order to work at a 7-Eleven. There's 1,000 clips that I probably should play at some other point. But yeah, he has said some awkwardly racist things. If you ain't against Trump, then you ain't black. Said that in 2020, as a matter of fact. Maybe that's why Trump got more of the black vote than any candidate since Nixon. That could be a possibility. No question about it. Anyway, I love finding for this show, this could be more of a regular segment here on Concha at Night, the worst game show moments in history. Because you see just how dumb some people in this population actually are. In this case, we had to go to Canada. Apparently, they have a Canadian Family Feud. And I don't know how you get this answer wrong. There's literally, in other words, Family Feud, usually there's 4, 6, sometimes 8 answers, right? We watch it with Steve Harvey because the kids find it funny. It's a little provocative at times. We have to explain our way through more of the sexual content, which is more of a thing on Family Feud, apparently now here in the States. I guess it was with Richard Dawson also. We hit on every single female contestant that was there. He would have been arrested for sexual harassment in about 8 seconds, Richard Dawson. I loved him personally. Excellent dresser, tremendous fashion. Before I go off on a tangent, here's cut number 22, where the question is pretty simple. The answer is even more simple, and somehow this woman, and you can't see it, she does a jig after she answers because she's absolutely certain she got the answer right. And, well, no, cut number 22, go.
Whoever guesses this wins the game. Here we go. Name Popeye's favorite food.
Chicken! Oh my God!
Show me chicken!
Spinach, Sherry. Yeah.
Now that decided the whole game. How do you go back to your family at that point? You cost them, I know Canadian dollars don't go as far, but I don't know, $20,000, $25,000 if you do well in the next round, the speed round, the lightning round. But yeah, chicken. That was tough. We're gonna do this more on this show. It's that good, no question. Anyway, Gavin Newsom, I got to play this clip again. I know we played it on Thursday, in case you weren't listening. Is asked by Katie Kirk, who, again, Katie was paid 7 figures to be an anchor for NBC, ABC, and CBS. I don't know of anybody else out there who has hit for the network cycle, so to speak. I guess you hit for the cycle, you need 4. Fox never hired her because, we're smart over there, but nor would there be much of a clamoring for the Katie Kirk brand. But now she does this podcast like from her kitchen. And of course, Gavin Newsom, who never, ever works. I've never seen somebody do more podcasts who's not a declared candidate for president in my lifetime, even more than Trump. He cannot get enough of himself. And at the same time, California is so poorly run in every facet, and he never works. He just does podcasts all the time. And they're in person. It's not like he's doing it by phone. That's different. You pick up a phone, you're on your way to a meeting, XYZ, fine. He's always in the studio somewhere. In this case, Katie decides to ask him, boy, you're so impossibly handsome. Like, how do you handle that? Like, this was an actual question. This is cut number 11. And here's Newsom's answer, which is as laughable as the question itself. Cut number 11, go.
Do you have a Zoolander problem?
No, Jesus. Yes, Zoolander.
Are you just ridiculously good looking?
Hardly.
No, seriously, what do you do about that?
You don't do anything about it, because if you're going to do something about it, then you're bull people. You know what? I am who I am. And it's fine. You don't have to like me. Or maybe you like a slick person. I don't know. Whatever. It's okay.
I declared this on X yesterday. He's not getting the nomination. He is overexposed way too early, and he is not likable. You put some sodium pentothal, some truth serum into any Democratic voter, and most people are like, this guy just makes me want to take 2 showers after I listen to him. He wants it too bad. It's like a guy who just wants to date a girl too bad, and it just is pouring on way too strong. And that's what's happening here. And again, it's March of 2026. The election isn't for another well over 2.5 years. And that the more you're exposed to Gavin Newsom, it's kind of like the more you're exposed to Kamala Harris, the more you will not like this person. And a Zoolander problem. For those of you who haven't seen Zoolander, it's a movie from about 24 years ago starring Ben Stiller. It's hilarious. It's about a model who is maybe the stupidest person on the planet. But because he's so good looking, then people accept him. I won't go into the plot because there's not much of a plot. But I guess that's Newsom, right? The good looking guy who is the stupidest person on the planet. That's not a good comparison. So I guess Katie was trying to compliment him, but that's not much of a compliment when you really think about it. Meanwhile, so speaking of the Democratic Party, do they have an alpha male problem? Well, Bill Maher on his podcast, now he does obviously real time on HBO every Friday night, but also does like a daily podcast where he gets high and also drinks during it. So maybe he says some things that come from the liquid courage kind of department, like maybe more. I think he's kind of honest and transparent already. You could disagree with what he says, but I think he's authentic and carries the courage of his convictions. He doesn't really waver almost ever. All that said, here he's talking about how the Democratic Party has an alpha male problem. Obviously, Newsom definitely has an alpha problem just by the way you see he does these hand motions, which are weird, and the legs. I don't know. I could go on and on. But this is Maher, and I think this is a great analysis in terms of, in the end, do the issues matter, or is it an instinct that you have about a person based on whether they appear strong or not? This is cut number 17. Go.
They're like an animal. They're instinctive. Like, I smell fear or I smell alpha, and they smell alpha. And Democrats have to come up with an alpha, and it's not Tim Walz.
No, probably not.
And it's not the other Tim who ran. Tim Kaine. These are not alphas. It's like this thing of like, let's get a woman and then a docile man who's in every commercial where he's the asshole while mom takes care of business. That's not a message that makes the tribe go, who is strong? Who's strong?
That's true, right? I never looked at it that way, that Hillary Clinton, nominee in 2016, took the most bland, nondescript person you could possibly imagine, to the point where Bill Maher, who covers politics, couldn't remember his name. I swear I can go onto a street in New York right now and 94% of people, and I'm being generous, could not name who the vice presidential pick of Hillary Clinton was back in 2016. Tim Kaine? Honestly, how many of you would know that if I asked you before I played that clip? Not many. You got to like kind of knock your brain on it, right? Just kind of like to a certain extent. And I like this guy, by the way, Jack Kemp with Bob Dole, 96. That's a good little question. Who was Bob Dole's running mate? And now that you get a little bit of a pass because that's 30 years ago, but still the Dole Kemp campaign is, I can't remember one moment from that campaign. Clinton was going to win going away because Clinton was smart. He worked with Gingrich, welfare reform, balanced budget amendment. The era of big government's over. He went to the center, smart. And that in the end showed that he can govern. People like that stuff. The economy was great and we were at peace. So, yeah, that's how you win elections. And that's why you don't remember the Bob Dole Jack Kemp campaign, because I really had nothing to run against at that point. Anyway, before we go back in the time machine to 1996 completely, let's talk about Space Force. Now, Space Force was mocked. Jen Psaki, remember when she was White House press secretary, just thought it was like a figment of Trump's imagination, just some sort of like fancy name for something that actually doesn't do anything. Turns out Space Force is doing great work in the war against Iran. So here's Jesse Waters Primetime, where I was actually on tonight. Great show with Jesse. Here's him talking about how liberals actually used to mock Space Force, but explains at the end exactly what they are doing to help make this war hopefully and probably a short one. This is cut number 18. Go.
No one asks how we're going to pay for this Space Force.
There's no threat in space. Who are we fighting? Satellites?
When Trump talks about Space Force, he makes it sound like we're going to be on a rocket riding to the moon, like Space Force, riding up there and killing aliens.
Joke's on them. Space Force is a critical mission right now. They deployed heat-seeking infrared beams that detect missiles the second they launch so that our guys can take shelter when the rockets get neutralized. Space Force is working on U.S. soil, so they're out of harm's way. Thank God.
Did you know that? Now, if you watch Fox News, you do. Anybody in the New York Times, Washington Post, New York Daily News, CNN, MS, whatever it is now, you don't hear much about Space Force and what it's doing in terms of, yep, the minute those ballistic missiles or any missiles from Iran are being heated up, Space Force detects it and then obviously can give warning to wherever it may be fired or take the ballistic missiles out, which is happening at a rapid pace to the point where Iran's not going to have anything to fire anymore. I mean, it's already very apparent that whatever counter strikes they want to do, they just can't do it. And they're basically attacking everybody, just launching in every direction. There's no central command, it appears. So hopefully this thing is done by the time we get to, let's say, April Fool's Day. I think that's a pretty legitimate timeline. Anyway, I'm being told to break, so I will do so. I'm a soldier. I take orders, not a problem. This is Concha at Night. We wrap this puppy up in just a moment.
Where liberalism is a no-go. The Joe Concha Show, weekday edition. Sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. The Joe Concha Show, weekday edition.
Joe Concha.
Sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
Welcome back, everybody. Wow, that was one fast hour. But before we go, we pay tribute once again to the late, great Norm Macdonald, who did Weekend Update better than anybody. Here he is about 30 years ago, talking about Madonna's first child coming into the world. This is cut 2. Go.
The Weekend Update would like to congratulate Madonna, who gave birth to a beautiful baby girl last Monday. The baby weighed in at 6 pounds, 9 ounces, making it the 4th largest object ever to pass through Madonna's birth canal.
Oh, see, that's when the show was awesome. He was taken from us far too soon. Norm, we miss you. And we'll miss you until Sunday. Anyway, my show comes back. The Tunnel to Towers Foundation Sunday morning show, 11 a.m. Eastern time here on WABC and across the country. Otherwise, we're back 9 o'clock on Monday night here on WABC. And again, nationally syndicated throughout the USA and around the world. Until then, I have 2 words for you. Bye-bye.
The Tunnel to Towers Foundation honors the sacrifices of America's heroes. Heroes like U.S. Army Specialist Andy Keith Kingsley. Andy was part of the 82nd Airborne Division. He received various awards and decorations, including a Purple Heart. While deployed, Andy was catastrophically injured in combat. Andy and his family received a mortgage-free smart home from Tunnel to Towers. But many more heroes like Andy need your support. Donate $11 a month and amplify your impact by donating your car or land. Go to T2T.org.